Yo ho ho ho! It's your Soul King Kraz. We're back at it with the most legendary truth teller in all of fiction. The Supreme Commander of over 80,000. Born on Sniper Island. The legendary marksman Usopp of the Straw Hat Pirates. We'll be taking a look at both his pre-time skip and post movesets. I personally prefer his post, but in my experience, I've actually been playing around with a lot of each of them, and I find that both variations of Usopp are both, I would say, about as equally capable of racking up a similar amount of kills. There's really no clear disparity between the two movesets as to which one is better. I will say though that the two movesets are also very different. So we'll jump right on in and take a look. So Usopp's pre-time skip is more positional based, more about knowing how his gimmick works. Usopp has an oil pit from his C5, and what this does is it just sets up for a bunch of explosives, puts them in a bunch of explosive states, gets them all set up. But what makes him really shine is his force burst, which allows him to randomly toss oil as you're running at a very rapid rate, which will make you just able to turn the battlefield into a fire pit. Now, as far as the special skills are concerned, you can go about it one of two real ways. You can cycle out two of his specials. I would recommend Atlas Comet and Fire Rain Hell, I suppose, if you're just going for pure attack speed. Many favor his Sleep Star as well if you're looking purely for a debuff build. Sleep Star has a really good time length on it. Shuriken Bomb's not really my favorite. Doesn't have a big enough area, doesn't do enough damage. And his impact dial is a counter. Most people's counters in this game are completely unplayable or just bad. The build I like to go for is status debuff. So you run the net, which will hold enemies down even while... It's kind of like a Robin's Dose Fleur. It's like a grab that'll keep them in a hold state for a pretty lengthy period of time. Then you got Flash Style, which will straight up armor break people. Well, not completely, not always. But the idea is to get them in the net first, and then you flash them. Flash their armor right out of there. As for your skills, you want to run your core 4 as always: Hero Strength, Cheat Death, Force Burst, Hidden Resolve. I also like to run Burning Resolve on him, just because I haven't really been a big fan of Rocket Man. I still just prefer dashing. Lets you set up for more combos easier. Leadership, is naturally going to make any weak character much more powerful. But I've been running leadership, I think, on everyone now, and it might even be just straight up part of your core 5. Leadership's pretty great. Still debating that one though. For Usopp, I like concentration because a lot of his utility is purely just from having those debuffs ready and from having Force Burst ready. So I honestly don't even bother with Devotion or Resilience, because if you have concentration, you're just going to be getting it back quick enough. Oh, but we do want Shatter. We do want Shatter for Usopp, because Usopp's big mechanic is always triggered by smash damage. So we gotta get ourselves that Giant Fist back. Maybe over Burning Resolve. Actually, no, he spends the majority of the time on the ground, so probably not. Maybe we won't rock concentration then, just go Giant Fist. And naturally, we run the legend himself, Sogeking. Lulu, lala, lulu, as they say. So now that's his light string that I just used. I'd like to clear out this area of immediate problems before I show it again. So it's really good from a range. But up close, it's, I'd say, not as effective because it has a very flat hitbox. His light heavy is Usopp hammer. As you can see, is a not very good. But that last hit is solid. Solid for crowd control. Let's just armor break Mihawk with flash style. Light, heavy is going to be your Firebirdo star. And this is definitely going to be something you're going to be using a lot. For more than one reason. Your light, heavy. Okay, Mihawk, you gotta go. We're just gonna burst real quick and flex on him. And that should hit. And detonate. It did not hit or detonate. Alright. Interesting. Wow, that net really showing its stuff right now. Alright, so light, heavy. This is your 3 lights and a heavy. It puts out a bunch of shuriken, and then he shoots a little hot sauce into the mouths of anyone still alive. Or maybe it's just a stun. Wow, that net, I'm telling you. Now, your 4 lights, it makes some caltrops, and it makes this oil field. This is going to be your primary means of detonating outside of your burst. And you have to spam out the full combo. You can't cancel it early, or else the oil field just doesn't come out. It only comes out in the last hit. And the caltrops are kind of terrible. Now, these oil fields are important because they can be detonated with your heavy, which is just heavy by itself. Not very good. Heavy with your oil fields. Pretty nice. Now, what's nice about Usopp's tech type is that it also detonates your oil fields. So, for the sake of speed, sometimes it's just better to just cancel into it, but it's not going to do quite the same amount of damage that you want. And now we'll just see when you burst, you'll see the little oil puddles I'm leaving behind. There are several of them. Sometimes you'll end up forming them so rapidly that you'll be able to tech cancel them into themselves. So using the tech cancel on pre-time skip Usopp is not only encouraged, it's actually incredibly effective. Alright. And other than that, let's just real quick. His aerials. Terrible. Both of them are absolutely atrocious. Even Flavor Ball, though you can spam it, and I would recommend at the very least practicing this for post-time skip Usopp. But as you can see here, the delays are way too slow on the explosions. The damage is way too low. And overall, just not worth the setup required. Now, what's important about Atlas Comet is that it can detonate these oil fields. As long as it hits. However, for consistency's sake, you'll want to rely on Firebird Star and your basic heavy to manually trigger those explosions. Alright. Let's put him through a proper speedrun and see how he performs. I will say he's not my favorite version to play as, but he is pretty fun in his own right. Perfect. Oh, Loge right away. Fantastic. Let's get you netted. What? You tell me how the fuck. Okay then. Let's get that going. Oh shit, didn't see it. Got him. Got a big one. Now, does this hit point blank? It does. Oh, that's lovely. And you gotta get the, you gotta get the flavor ball in there purely just to see him do his launcher. The launcher's just good comedic effect there. Oh god, not Ace 2. I think that hits. Nice! Ooh, fight avoided, let's go. Give him some of the Usopp hammer just to bait it, and then surprise, it's an explosion. Usopp the liar strikes again. Oof. Yeah. For any of you guys trying to find a good special for Usopp, doesn't matter which version, Atlas Comet is just wonderful. His light string is not particularly effective. I gotta be honest, it really only seems good for chasing down, like, maybe a single weak target. Wow. Yep, so net just holds him down forever. Usopp's one weakness, dealing with melee range aggressors. What are you gonna do? You're C4? I mean, you can, but... it's not easy with this character to deal with the Frankie family, or characters that are just right in your face at all times. C4 doesn't seem to be very effective on this version. Alright, let's tech type for the win. Ah, shit. We shouldn't have dashed. Oh, how did he dodge? I forget what it is about Atlas Comet that's so good, but I think it has something to do with the tracking on it. Oh, Robin. You traitor! Yeah? I caught a big one. It's a mochi fish. Humiliated. Nope. Nope. Nice. Now you just clean up through a ton of these transport commander bounties. Overnight. The manly Usopp. Oh, that's an impressive showing right off the bat. But I gotta say, for all the destructive potential that his burst has, I do prefer his post moveset. That's a pretty solid showing, though. Pre-time skip Usopp is probably my favorite. At the very least, he's my favorite of the pre-time skip movesets. Which, you know, not saying a whole lot. I think there's only 3 of them in this game. But still, it's impressive enough. I actually enjoy playing as him, for instance. Like, Sogeking, he lulus into all our hearts. He locks on. Alright, now, post-time skip is a much different breed of fighter in a couple ways. The first way, and I wanted to kind of comb over this like a fine-tooth comb, I discussed this with Nylon, one of the longtime legends of the One Piece modding community, and is able to kind of go over a few points about Usopp's finer details, and one of them is the attack speed that he mentioned to me, where apparently pre-time skip Usopp's attack speed is slightly faster than post, but that's also because post-time skip Usopp's is much more devastating in terms of pure setup. Alright, so we've got Shatter on, we've got Giant Fist still, that's good. Alright, now for your specials, people love running net. I get why they love running net. Me personally, I think I still prefer running flash style for armor breaking, and then rather than focus on debuffing, you're going to want to run bomb grass. This move's DPS output is so crazy. If you can center an enemy right on top of this as you're using it, it's going to deal a colossal amount of damage, kind of like Doflamingo's awakening ability, for instance. And the big difference between pre-time skip and post is that the setup for a pre-time skip is just all oil fields, and it's a little bit more streamlined that way. Post-time skip is more random, in that your pop green seeds can come out either at the end of every combo string, or they can come out 3 at a time at random, which is how I'm going to stress that you use them for the most part. So what I mean by that is, as you can see, I'm dashing around in the air, mashing out the heavy over and over again, and you're going to see a series of seeds. If you press your heavy on the ground, you're going to see a variety of powers appear. Now let's do Usopp's moveset real quick. Now, if you heavy that, it's going to make another Sargasso. This is a pretty nice one to have for just like tech typing for a little bit of crowd control. Have that one just positioned in a way where you can get a big crowd together. And then your light, heavy is the same. Firebird Star. Although the first hit is going to produce a series of bamboo shoots instead. This is going to be mostly for just like keeping your combo hit up. Because the bamboo themselves, they don't do a ton of damage. As you can see, it's mostly just for crowd control. Now, when it comes to his real damage, that's his later combo strings right here. Light, heavy. His mandrakes. And then, if you don't get interrupted out of it, he makes a devil plant, which does this little close range knockback. Occasionally, devils will also be sprouted, like there. Let's just casually break Whitebeard's armor real quick. Show off your special. I prefer this special just because it doesn't require any special angles, it doesn't have any long wind-up times. All you have to do is just have an enemy juggled and you can just get the ball rolling. Now, the name of the game with post-time skip Usopp is to stay bursted. You stay bursted, set up a couple of patches in the air, get back to the ground, detonate. Don't sit on your plants for too long. They will disappear over time. Already racking up an insane amount of kills. And there's that kill shot with the Skullgrass. And that's just the whole name of this game, really. You play him pretty similarly to pre-time skip, but with more of a focus on his air game. You just spread a bunch of seeds at random, detonate them with your force bursts when the time is right. You want to get a few enemies together too. That's the other key thing with Usopp, is not necessarily like getting kills prematurely. You want to kind of get a crowd going. Although this is not always necessary either. Now what's nicer about that light heavy is that it does do a bit more damage, and the impact dial, it just looks so cool. You love to see it. You love to see Usopp with it on his toolkit without having to have it equipped as a terrible counter move. And you just keep that special handy for your elites. Ah, I forgot to show this off, didn't I? Light, heavy is going to be your best move, because it just immediately combos them into the air, sets up for more plants on the ground, pops them into the air when you detonate it, does a lot of damage, does poison damage. You name it, this thing's got it. A common trick I like to do with Usopp is to just get his form burst up. Because what you'll also notice when you're form bursted too is that you'll be able to detonate more plants while you're in burst. So while you don't want to just let them sit around for too long, you do kind of want to group them up a bit too. It's all about finding that sweet spot of like how many combo variations you want to set up. And then you just bam, 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 and it hops them back, and it'll keep having, if you do it right, you'll be able to do what I just did, and just have enough traps to wipe out wave after wave of enemies. One thing I like to do too is you use the mandrakes without using the devil. This will allow you to juggle them and set them up for whatever kind of specials you have in mind. And then you just do some of that, do some of that, give him some of these. Usopp's got a bag of tricks. He's just gonna randomly hit you with 3 different types of killer plants and then run away like a brave warrior, as you do. Alright, let's put him in there with a proper speed run because we missed a transport commander, and that's just terrible already. That's gonna take this battle way too long, plus the tutorial portion. I like to show that each character has a pretty solid chance of pulling an under 10 minute 4500 average. But I also like doing so on maps that are fun to play on. Oh, well, you know what? We'll just do Dressrosa. I'm not complaining. I love this fucking map. Ooh, tech type to tech type. Nice. And as you can see, this character will just clear them out. You'll just clear them all the way out. Just real casual. Oh, where is he? Gimme. Gimme! Oh, the strongest pirate in the world. God Usopp. The hero of Dressrosa. Straw Hat Luffy was just there at the same time. Where are you guys going? Oh, come here, Mihawk. Point blank, baby. Woo! And then this is the other strategic part about Usopp too, is you can kind of position them at a distance from each other. Like if you don't just put them all in the same place, you'll be able to have additional traps for cover later on when you need to like defend yourself from more waves of enemies. So having situational awareness of where you place your traps is also pretty good for your character combos as well. So yep, I'm just making my crops, working on that harvest. There you go. Oh, you thought. Oh. Oh, rude. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, that missed. That's the one problem with this ult, is that if you use it too close, it's gonna probably miss. So again, positioning awareness. Very important with this character. Oh! Alright, kill count's solid. Especially since we were getting knocked around a bunch there. He rounds out the weakest trio of the Straw Hats. Oh, you know what? That time is actually pretty clean. So you know what? I have to still tip my hat the most towards post-time skip Usopp. In summation, he seems to just get more kills faster than pre-time skip does, and without necessarily having to rely on form burst. Although it's clear that they both rely on form burst to really get the highest possible amount of kill counts. So it's really just depending on how you prefer to play. If you prefer playing more on the ground and less in the air, then pre-time skip Usopp is probably your bet. But if you like having a little bit of variety with, like, you know, using your launcher for something that is actually going to do something, if you want to rely on more than debuffs and Atlas Comet, if you want to just have a weird, wacky time, Usopp in post-time skip has a pretty interesting mechanic, and I would say is probably more of a rewarding experience, in my opinion, anyways. Unless for me, for my sake, your rewarding experience is purely just based on if you get to play as Sogeking, then, you know, unfortunately Sogeking is not an option on post-time skip. Biggest mistake that this game could possibly make. In summation, the weakest trio has been covered. The Straw Hats are almost done. Next guide is going to be one I've been waiting for a long time. A guide for my favorite One Piece character, the Soul King himself. Stay tuned for that one.